Welcome in, everyone. We got Flippin' Nickel here, and we got Forged Equity Project among other names. What's some of the other names that your channels are? Brigade and
Yeah, nobody cares anyway,
yeah,
and
nobody cares anyway. Yeah, right, right.
mouthpiece
So,
media. Yeah.
just for the viewers here, I just wanted to. I don't know if anybody saw the Lieutenant Colonel, Marine Lieutenant Colonel, who resigned because he didn't agree with the chain of command. Which I know the UCMJ because I was a part of it for a while, and I know you do too. But I think it was kind of they got him in the brig now, and I've been looking for more information on that and why he was arrested and thrown on the brig. Seems like the Joint Chiefs and Milley didn't have anything to say about it in today's Senate hearing. So wait and see. I'm going to keep my eye on that. I think it's total crap because. I understand speaking out of chain of command, but what happened to Lieutenant Colonel Vindman? I mean, he's wrote a book, and
Mhm.
he's praised by the left and stuff. But I don't know. You got any thoughts on that? Did you check out any of that news? I mean, there's not much, but what's your opinion on that?
Well, I skimmed through it. I caught bits and pieces, and ex-military myself, like yourself, and it was predictable. When you get a guy, what do you have, 17 or 19 years in, or something like that?
Yep,
Uh,
17.
yeah, and for him to, it speaks a lot to courage, courage and fortitude, and those are two of my favorite words.
Right.
To stand up and make a stand to that. Obviously, he must have been to have that much conviction. He must have been directly or slightly indirectly attached to something that went down aside from being in the Marine Corps, obviously, but aside from that, he must have either had you know co-warriors that he was associated with or knew of in the chain or somewhere to affect him that deeply to because as well as I do when you're over the hump 10, 12 years in the military, you make a decision like that to forego what you potentially could get in retirement and everything else. I mean, he
Right.
has he has some just very strong convictions, and I'm sure based on stuff that happened with Department of Department of I don't want to flag too much here, but I'm talking about Department of S.
Don't worry
Coordinator.
about it, man. I'm not worried about it. I've been,
Yeah,
I got my first strike, so another
you
strike
know,
kill me. So whatever.
well, I think instead of and from being in the military as well as I do being a combat vet that once you get into these scenarios and situations, usually if it's allowed to be fought on the ground, um, with the enlisted and the officers as planned, and you have clear mission objectives, things usually don't go too bad. Um, However, when you turn it into a political event, and that's what I consider it to have gone down as a political event,
Yeah.
um, with a Department of State and all the politics that was involved in it, and all the shenanigans that went on in the background. Um, and then you have you're familiar with the Pineapple Express, right?
Yes, sir. Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
The Pineapple Express was able to get shit done without the interference, and that speaks volumes. But um, sorry, essentially, um, to have a lieutenant colonel, you know, uh, step up like that. He knew the risks. He knew.
Yeah, he knew the consequences. I
Yeah,
don't think he thought he was going to get put in jail, but
right.
I'm really interested in what section of the UCMJ they're going to use against him for that.
Well,
When
I'm sure.
they didn't do it for Vindman, who got up there and was testifying in front of Congress during the first impeachment hearing and
Right.
leaking shit and all that crap. It's
Yeah.
kind of pissed me off. Double standard woke military, which my opinion on. how woke and I mean, I don't want to call them military sissies, but I've watched enough, you know, newer, let's say, shakedowns at basic training videos and stuff. And it's like, you got to be kidding me, man. Come on. Uh-oh. We lost him. That's all right. I'll see if he comes back. But yeah, just wanted to cover that a little bit. And then if anybody here or that watches the restream, what's your opinion on the Senate hearings that went on today with the Joint Chiefs, the CENTCOM commander, and the Secretary of Defense? I thought it was absolutely disgusting. The answers, non-answers, and he's back. Hang on one second here. There you go. Sorry, I was just talking about a little bit about the Senate hearing today, which I was pretty disgusted because as we talked before, the Democrats did what the Democrats do, and the Republicans do what the Republicans do, and nobody's going to be held accountable. And you got I give I give a little bit more leeway to the CENTCOM commander because he's following the other two's direction, and I didn't. Milley needs to resign, and so does, in my opinion, and so does Secretary Austin. I mean, it's just crazy.
Yeah, sorry, brother. I don't know what happened there. My signal
Yeah,
just
no worries, man.
dropped out.
No worries.
Yeah, sorry about that. You have anybody? I can't see the other side here. You have anybody?
We got one in here. I don't know who it is. Nobody's in
Okay.
chat.
Okay.
As expected, but hopefully some people can watch a replay and get something out of it because I don't know if you want to discuss that a little bit more or anything else related to what's going on with the quote woke with military or the complete retreat debacle in Afghanistan or Mr. Fuck Joe Biden and
Yeah, I agree with that. I'd rather say "suck me, Joe Biden," but
yeah, sorry, Mom. My mom watches my stuff.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Mom.
No, that's right, man. I was gonna say at the beginning of the stream tonight, I was gonna say, Mom, I'm gonna try to do my best to watch my curse words because the last rant I went on, she said I watched your video and I didn't appreciate your language. So
okay. Sorry, I can't go campfire here, can I? Oh,
well,
shit.
you're Navy, man. You got a worse mouth than I do. Yeah.
Well, people that watch me, they know.
Yeah. Right.
So yeah, it's yeah, I he's a sacrificial lamb. He knew it when he made the decision, and he knew the risks, and I'm sure they'll bring up an article. They'll bring up an Article 15 or whatever they're going to do on him.
Yeah.
And so they have to shut him up. They have to segregate him because they don't want him influencing any other troops, obviously, and that's why they put him in the brig or stockade, whatever you call it. And it's a damn shame. The only hope I have for him is I fully applaud him for doing what he did. Takes a lot of balls to do that.
Absolutely.
But I applaud him, and I hope he comes out of it with at least his retirement. And they may just, because that's verboten, right? You spent time in Germany, you know what that means. It's forbidden. You don't necessarily strike at your chain of command like that in a way he did. Although I applaud him, but
right. No,
hopefully he'll come out of it with at least his retirement intact. But that's 3 years off, 2 years off, whatever it is. They may just sting him to make sure he. But that's the worst thing they can do because the more they piss him off, the more he'll do when he exits. So when he exits active duty. But I'm sure they'll put some NDAs, non-disclosures or some agreements they'll make him sign, or they'll manipulate him. He's probably got at least another 2, 3, 4 years of manipulation upon him from here, at least. Um, and that's a damn shame because he's out there, standing up for our constitutional values and our constitutional protections as a man in uniform, and he's going to get jacked around.
Yeah, I
Going,
mean, I see both sides here. I understand the UCMJ and stuff. Maybe I just my opinion is maybe it would have been better if he would have done it out of uniform. Because that's, I mean, just in my opinion, even though I agree with what he said, it's pretty much a no-no, right? you know, uh, you don't
right.
you don't get on a public platform and you know talk about the chain of command like that. I think I would have done it a little bit differently. Just my opinion. Not saying the guy's a bad guy because I do agree with him, but there's two. It's a rough situation. Let's just put it that way, man. You know.
Yeah. Well, it's part of the woke culture.
Right.
Um, you know, but again, violating established protocol, established chain of command protocols. That is a no-no, and he's going to pay. He's going to pay. Hopefully, he doesn't pay a too bad of a price for it, but he will pay. He will pay a good price for it.
Right, and then I did want to ask your opinion. I don't know if you saw it today. I caught it early this morning, and then I mean, I pretty much I kind of waited and then watched it at like time and a half speed, the Senate hearing. But I did see there's certain, let's just call them elite units that are, if you don't get the jab, you can't be deployed. And there's going to be probably other. I think there's going to be a mass retirement, or at least in the officer corps, probably resignations, and then you're going to see, enlisted people going, well, I got another 6 months to do, so I'm not going to re up. I'm going to get out, and I think that's going to be a detriment to our military because you're going to lose, maybe 10% of good people, I would say, and that's gonna hurt our military. I don't know what your thoughts on that are.
Well, uh, yeah, and that's when you're in a specialized community, whether you're, you know, let's just say you're in spec ops, right? When you're in special
Right.
operations, there are special provisions that many people may not be aware of. Um, uh, not only to include disclosures, to include provisions of security clearances that you have, blah blah blah. There's when you're a member of um, a special operations community like that, you are even more so restricted um, in your ability to communicate. You are
Right.
not permitted to do certain things, and um, let's just say that um, they're already, they're already restricted a bit more than the general military, so to speak. So this is an affront to them because they're already used to that, but um, to not be able to, and from the stuff I've read, they're not even being able to discuss it amongst themselves openly
Right.
or freely.
Right.
So that's even going to be more of an affront to them, and not to mention their families. I don't care, male, female, whatever. If you're in that community, it's tough. It's really tough, and it's not only the active duty military, not just in special operations, but in the general military, not to be able to, um, communicate, share things with your family that you can share anyway. It's going to affect the families too, and that's going to be a heavy weight on a lot of active duty military people. Not just active duty, but National Guard, reserves. It's going to affect a lot of people. And from what I'm hearing and from what I'm seeing, um, if you're a reservist in the military, in other words, you did active time, or even if you didn't do active duty, but you're straight reserve, whatever. If you're a reservist, it's easier for you to exit that military establishment as a reservist, a whole lot easier than it is as an active duty.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
So I think a lot of reservists will forego their reservists, and that's tough because if you're say you do, and I know you know this, but it's if you do active duty, let's say you do active duty for 4 years or 6 years, and you do another 16 or another 14 years as a reservist, you're eligible for retirement.
Yep.
So
Right.
you can't collect it till you're, I think, at least age 55 or 60 in the military. I don't know what it is now, but that's going to affect a lot of people. Because a lot of people, as you well know, National Guard, reserves, that's extra money for the family.
Right.
And
And to be honest with you, I mean, my Albany group I was involved in,
mhm.
they were combat veterans and National Guard, but the National Guard and the reservists were just, I mean, literally just put through the ringer with all the deployments they had to do. It wasn't just regular Army and regular, Marines and stuff over in Afghanistan and Iraq for, 20 years. These guys that are carpenters and lawyers and doctors and everything else. I mean, they just got put through the ringer for 20 years and, or maybe even less. And to see them, get to a point where they're going to have to make a decision whether to get the medical treatment or leave is just it's just it tears me up. It's sad, man. It really sucks. That's just my opinion. But
Yeah. Well, it's going to be what it's going to be. The military is, if you've never served, then you may not know. But if you have served, or if you're in the reserves or your National Guard, I mean, you know what it's like, and so it's going to have a huge effect. It is having a huge effect on a lot of military folks, and I've seen stories after stories in the last since all this crap went down, but more so since the VAXX crap started happening, especially with the mandatory VAXX crap. That a lot of families, people have to remember that when somebody makes a choice to serve in the military, they make a choice. Either they're going to go get training, they're going to get develop skills, they're going to get a commission, whatever. A lot of people will go in for those benefits of training, of this and that, right? But a large portion of the military people that go, or folks that go in as active duty and raise their right arm and swear in, go there because they believe in the Constitution, they believe in American values, they believe in American morals. And the reason I say that is because a lot of the families that are standing behind them and supporting them, families and friends outside of the military, are obviously having a lot of issues with what's going down. So these active duty folks are going to face a lot of, um, you know, even so moral decisions that they're going to have to make. You know what I mean?
right, right. Well, okay. Hey, I want to switch topics here a little bit, and we talk offline a lot. For the people that don't know, I think I've known you for what, a year and a half, or at least more, maybe. So, but
Well,
hey, the what's going on with the mandatory medical treatments? You know, I think New York fired a bunch of some medical place up there fired a bunch of people. Um, I know out here in the Northwest, where I'm at, there's big uprising from state employees and nurses and doctors. Even if they got the medical treatment, they're still against the mandates. Um, do you mind talking about the story that you have about that and what kind of action that you took that maybe some people could get a little bit if they're in that situation where, oh, my employer's gonna, force it on me and they're not gonna give a religious exemption or, how, you and I follow Peggy Hall, the Healthy American, and she's awesome. She's got everything. If anybody hasn't checked her out, go over and check her channel out. But are you willing to discuss what happened with your situation and then what action you took, and then any other information that you want to divulge would be great too.
Yeah, sure. And I'll just give a mini sort of disclosure here. I do work for a very large corporation, global, if you will, and it's directly in the midst of all the medical slash diagnostics slash laboratory industry, and um, so obviously for my own protection, everything else, can't mention who that is, but I do work in that industry, and uh, about about 3 weeks ago, I'll try to encapsulate this or condense it, but about 3 weeks ago, I got a call from a management person at work, and mentally I was prepared. I knew it was going to come eventually, but I got a call, and it was a canvassing call, and the instructions were, we're trying to figure out, quote, who's got the medical intervention, who doesn't have it, who's open to it, who's opposed to it, doesn't want to do it. And it was a nice little scripted jab to all employees, and it was happening in multiple departments and all that stuff. So they were kind of sort of goading you, kind of sort of tricking you into disclosing your personal health information. Now, everybody should know that your medical information is your own. It's called personal health information, right? Or private health information, PHI, right?
Correct.
So that's not supposed to be discussed with anybody except you and your doctor or your medical provider. So long story short, that conversation lasted about 10 minutes, and I let the management person do his spiel. And then I didn't say, well, no, I'm I'm not going to do hell. No, I'm not, do any of that kind of stuff. I just let him do his spiel, and because I knew he was being directed to do it. And I said, well, I'm electing not to disclose that information. And he said the only response he legally, lawfully can say is, okay, I understand, Roger that. We'll go ahead and keep it as you don't wish to disclose. Well, of course, that's a red flag, especially from a big corporation and human resources and all that stuff. That's a huge red flag. So I was immediately red flagged. So I don't even think it was 4 or 5 days later, I was contacted again. And this time it was a little bit more forceful, only notifying me that that I would be receiving an email from Human Resources stating, this is our policy, this is our directive, this is what you're going to be expected to do. Okay, Roger that. Picked up the email. And of course, it was the first line of the email was, you are required to get the VAXX. And I said, oh, no. You don't know who you're talking to here. This is not your average bear. You don't tell me that I'm going to do any kind of medical intervention. You don't just tell me that. Now, keep in mind, I was, in my mind, psychologically, in my knowledge base, I was preparing for this for months. So to give you the more condensed version, you don't respond to these emails unless it requires a response. So I didn't respond at all. I just read it and I said, okay, here the dance is beginning now. We're going to dance now. And that's when it started. And it officially kind of went into swing last Monday. Let's see. Wait a minute. Yeah, I think it was last Monday. I got the second email saying that unless you're going to be VAXXed, you will need to apply for a medical and or religious exemption. So I said, oh, okay. So they know that they're skirting the law here. They know that they're playing with fire. They knew that because they got to put that disclosure in any official communications like that. I said, okay, all right, you stupid bastards. You
You don't
know,
know what's coming, right?
you don't know what's coming, bro. So, and I'm not, I'm not bragging or boasting. It's just that I'm not your average
No,
bear. Let's just say that.
but what I think you're going to talk about, it could help some people that watch a replay that may be in the situation, because I'm seeing people out there quitting, and we've talked about it. People shouldn't quit. You should make them fire you, right? Or at least do everything you can to keep your job and actually take action and fight.
Right. Well, I have the Rumble channel. I'm not here to spam my channel, but I have the
No,
Rumble channel at
no
Forged
worries.
Equity Project too, and I've been doing updates on that. But here's the, and I'm trying to be respectful of time and condense things. So, so I immediately, moving on the timeline here. Sorry. So I immediately, already had my affidavit for religious exemption kind of probably 50% completed at that point, because I knew it was coming.
Right.
So, and if people don't know what an affidavit is, it is a sworn statement of truth or a sworn statement of fact that any person can draft up. And it's a very powerful document for the primary reason that, as part of your own personal administrative record of who, what, why, where, when, and how things happen, you can submit a notarized affidavit, whether it has been rebutted by the addressee of the affidavit or not. You can submit that in the court of law. Now, a simple letter, no, screw you, I don't like you, you wear pink ties at work, I don't like pink ties, simple letter like that, no, I'm not going to do it. That has no force of law.
Right.
Okay. So I hear people all the time say, oh, write a letter to your employer. No, don't write a letter. Write an affidavit. And an affidavit, when it's notarized, is sworn to be a true statement. Now, the shorter version of the long version is that once you draft up an affidavit as a sworn notarized statement of truth from you to whoever you're going to address it to or give it to, that has the power of law. Okay. So what I did was, and this is what I recommend everyone to do. Every state has, sorry, I don't know if you're hearing that or not, I'm getting alerts here. Every state has its own government code. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I live in California. California has their own California government code. California has its own health and safety code, as every other state does. Every state has civil codes. And I'm not going to talk too much about criminal codes because it doesn't really necessarily apply to this. So civil codes, health and safety codes, and your own state government codes. Okay. Now, California is one of those states that, even though it is a liberal progressive cesspool with 75% of the state legislature leaning blue or is blue, it does have a lot of laws, codes on the books to protect the individual and the consumer. Among some of the strongest ones, I'm not going to name them off here, but among some of the strongest ones are the health and safety codes. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So in your state, whatever state you reside in, you have the same provisions. Now, again, California is very strong in supporting the individual and or consumer this way. You go to a state like, and no disrespect, a state like, Mississippi, Arkansas, where there's a lot of, maybe there's not a lot of protection. Pick your state, right? Maybe you're in a state that doesn't have a lot of protection. They all have civil codes. They all have health and safety codes, which are laws. They're what we call statutory codes in the state code, right?
Right.
In the
Also,
state of
We've got
government.
the EEOC, right?
Well, I'm going to get to that in a second.
Okay.
So these are laws, and in some cases, codes been codified as statutes in the states, have been on the books for a long time, decades upon decades. Keep in mind that they are revised from time to time, supposedly supposed to go through the state legislature to have that done. In other words, with the consent of the people. But in the state I reside in currently, California, there are very, very strong civil codes and health and safety codes. There is also provisions in your state constitution, okay? In your state constitution, which is, of course, if you're not aware, most state constitutions are modeled off the federal constitutional provisions, okay? Almost a mirror in most states. Now, state constitutions, of course, are, tailored to the state demographic, state geography, whatever it is, right? They're
Right.
tailored to the state specifically, okay? But they are pretty much, at least probably 85 to 90% modeled off the federal U.S. corporate constitution. And some of those listening will know what I'm talking about. So, what I found through my research, and of course, if anybody hasn't been to the healthyamerican.org, that's Peggy Hall. She is a firebrand in California who has brought a lot of this to light.
Absolutely.
For a lot of people. She has a channel called Living Swell with Peggy Hall, and then the Healthy American channel on YouTube. And of course, she has the healthyamerican.org. Now, what I like about telling folks about all these things, and of course about Peggy Hall, is that a lot of what is available to you and a lot of what Peggy Hall covers is virtually very similar or even the same in your respective state. Okay. I think she has almost 80 videos just on religious exemptions right now on her channel. Now, this is a lady who's been a 30-year educator. She's got a master's. I don't know if she has a PhD, but I think she has master's in this and that. She's worked in the health field. She's worked in government. She's in Orange County, California. She's worked for city government. She's worked for colleges, community colleges. She's been a 30-year educator, all this stuff. So she's very well versed in how she does research. She loves it. She lives it, eats it, and breathes it. Once again, I'm going to say that website because you need to go to the website first, probably. It's free. It doesn't cost anything to go there and look. thehealthyamerican.org. Because people will go there, and I think most people will be, 10, 15 minutes into it will be floored.
Right. And her goal is to help people, which, I love her energy, and I love that she puts out content every day that is going to help somebody.
Right.
It's action in action, right?
Mm-hmm. Well, she's got a schedule now, too.
Yeah. She's doing daily live streams, which is cool, in the morning.
Yeah, she does 2 Zoom meetings a day.
Right.
She does usually at least 1 video per day, and sometimes she does an additional live stream or an additional video. So she's pretty much full-time in it now. And this is not to say that, she's the greatest thing since sliced bread, but she's pretty damn close as far as what we're dealing with. And when I started, I went to one of actually 2, but the main rally I went to meet Peggy was in a place called Vista, California. That was last year. And I went to that rally, and it was, medical freedom, your civil rights, that's the kind of rally it was, liberty and freedom. And at that time, we had almost 1,200 people. That was early cerveza bug. Okay. I want to say it was in April or May of last
year. I remember that video got you a strike, and they.
Oh yeah.
Crap. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
Oh yeah. Yeah. They struck me down hard for that. Medical misinformation. And I don't know if people know who Judy Mikovits is, but Judy was there also. It's Mikovits, and some people will know who she is. But she was also there, and I met Judy and I met Peggy and talked to them for a little while. And the thing is, I'm kind of dragging this out. Sorry about
Yeah,
that, but
I was gonna have to circle you back to your story
circle
here.
me back. That's right. That's right. Yes. Yeah. I don't want to say what I call Jen,
Yeah.
whatever, because mom's probably going to watch. But anyway, um, so uh, so the idea is, folks, that I'll just give you the rest of the timeline. So um, I actually submitted my affidavit to my company. Okay. Sorry for the long translation here, folks.
No
So
worries.
I submitted my affidavit. I went and got it notarized first, so I had the power, the legal / lawful power of law behind me before I submitted it. And I think I sent that to you, right? So
Yeah, I read it. I had to read it like 5 times, but yeah,
yeah,
I mean that's
in
a lot of
confidence.
work went into that, man.
Oh yeah, it took me. I scrapped 4 or 5 versions of it before I was completely done with it, because it does. I'm versed in administrative law, and you
Well,
have to be.
it's very powerful from what I read, man.
Yeah,
That's why I was like, holy! I mean, my mind was blown the first time I read it, and I'm like,
yeah.
okay, I got to take a break, go back and read it a few more times, man.
Well, and again, it's not bragging or boasting. It's just I've been doing this shit for a long time. So
No,
the
I know.
thing is, you have to be, if you're going to, in other words, here's a basic fact of law. Someone who's bringing a claim against you must provide the evidence against you. Okay.
Right.
So if someone's charging that you need to be VA double X, if you don't have this right or you don't have that right or whatever, it's their duty to prove that you don't have that or you don't possess that right or protection or whatever else. So in summary, you use any existing resource. In other words, any existing statute, any existing code, any existing laws that are on the books to defend yourself. Okay. So when you're drafting up correspondence to respond to an employer, your boss, whatever, your human resources, you have to be pretty well damn about 100.08% on point with what you're going to present. You can't screw it up. And that's not to say that it's difficult. It's just very tedious and time consuming. So I know I've done, I don't know how many affidavits I've done for myself and other people with some of our favorite entities in government, um, uh, including the 10 Mile Square stuff. I've done several uh, over the years. Um, and I've also done a lot to help and advocate with people over the years. And I've been awake since '96. You already heard this story 20 times.
Yes, sir.
So I've been in the game a long time, and I had to learn. I had to learn to pull my head out of my butt and learn and do and not be afraid, not to be scared, not to be intimidated, not to be. The biggest thing for me was to ask questions. That's how I started my journey. I started asking questions. And I said, no, 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 no. Like Dice Clay used to say, no, 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 I'm over here now. So, um, it's the last part of the timeline is that magically, because I'm on vacation right now for a week, um, enjoying some downtime, but magically, um, this past Friday, I was informed very soft stepping, cautious way by one of my supervisors that the company had changed their position on the mandatory VA double X requirement in that they weren't making it absolutely mandatory now that you could opt for testing only.
Hmm.
I just have to sit here and puff out my chest and say, well, did somebody get James's affidavit back there in corporate HR? And say, oh shit, we got a problem here. Um, because in my affidavit, I cited, I don't know, 6, 7, 8. At a minimum, I don't know, there was 5, 6, 7, 8 laws, codes, health safety
Right.
codes, civil
Article
code.
7, I think, was in there,
And,
wasn't it?
and the big one is not Article 7, but Title 7
Yeah,
of,
Title. I'm sorry.
right. I know that. I know that's what you meant. Title 7 of the United States Civil Rights Act of 1964, as modified and amended since. Okay. Title 7 is your protection at the federal level against discrimination, harassment, offenses, shall we call them appendages to your freedom and civil rights. Title 7 protects you as a federal, some people will know what I'm talking about, a federal 14th Amendment citizen of the United States. So, very powerful, very, very powerful. Title 7 of the U.S. Civil Rights Act. Anybody can get this information free online. It's
Right.
accessible. Um, and uh, accompanied with your state civil code, your state health and safety codes, your state constitutional protections, Title 7. And one of the biggest ones is, well, let me interject this. Let me digress a second here. Now, in California, and Peggy Hall constantly repeats this all the time. In California, the civil rights agency, if you will, generally speaking, the agency or department in your state government that protects your civil rights. In California, it's called the Department of Fair Employment and Housing, DFEH. Now, I'm sure it's going to be called something different in somebody else's state. It may be called Industrial Relations. It may be called the Arkansas Department of Public Safety, whatever, not public safety, but, whatever it's called, right? It's going to be called probably something different in your state. But the DFEH in California, again, this Department of Fair Employment and Housing, has very strong regulations that coincide with guidance from the EEOC, which is the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission at the federal level. Okay. So the Civil Rights Agency in California, the DFEH, has several statutes, laws, codes on the books that coincide with what the federal EEOC and Title VII coincide with. Okay. Again, I may be going over some people's heads here because there's a lot of crap here, but
That's all right. People can actually
um,
just go to Google or your favorite search engine and
right.
type it. I mean,
Yeah. But you have to, in other words, folks, what I'm trying to communicate with you is I call it my battle, right? Because it is a war. This is just one battle, but it is a battle. And if you, let me just say this, it's very, okay, let me say something else differently. When you draft up, in other words, when you do your research and you find enough health, safety, civil codes, Title VII of the U.S. Civil Rights Act, the EEOC guidance, whatever else, you find all that information out and you collate it, you organize it, right? You start cutting and pasting things off of websites, whatever else. You make up your own Microsoft Word document or own Google Docs document, whatever you use for word processing, whatever. And you start putting this stuff in a document before you even formulate it into an affidavit to protect yourself and submit it. It's very, very empowering to know and to realize, more so realize how powerful you really are.
right.
That
You're exercising your constitutional rights, man,
correct,
which a lot
correct,
of people are refuse to do, man.
right.
My
And
opinion.
my whole affidavit was on the lines of, I'm a very holistic, healthy guy. I don't take any medications, any kind of that stuff. So I didn't have any avenue for a medical exemption. In other words, I didn't have a medical condition or a diagnosis that would, be detrimental if I took the VA double X on top of that. I didn't have that availability. But I am a Christian man. I am a believer, and I do have what's termed as strongly held moral and religious beliefs against
Amen.
you violating my body and my beliefs, and that's all protected. Okay,
Yes, sir.
in the very powerful Title VII of the U.S. Civil Rights Act. Okay, but it's also very protected in California, as it is in many other states. These freedoms, these protections, these civil protections, whatever, they're all protected. Okay, and what people have to realize is that this is available to you, and if you want to be, if you want to be empowered, if you want to be if you want to feel that you actually do have recourse, and this is called recourse/redress of your government, right? If you feel that you do have that available to you and you want to exercise it or execute it, so to speak, then you have to do the work. You have to do the work. Either you stand and be counted and stand for what you, sorry for the extra noise here. You either stand for what you believe in, you stand for what your protections are, civilly and in legal/lawful world. You stand for them or you don't. Now, what I have a problem with, and some people may not like this, but what I have a problem with is people that will call me, text me, contact me, email me, and say, this is just too much. I can't do this. I
Right.
can't, man. It's just, I can't. I was, okay. Well, this conversation's done then. Okay.
That's right. Deal with the consequences of, yeah.
Right.
I
And
agree. Uh,
either you're going to stand and be counted, you're going to stand up for your protections that are guaranteed you not only from our federal Constitution of the United States, I should say for the United States before it was changed. Um, Either you're going to stand and deliver, you're going to execute it, you're going to reach out, and I'm offering that. I would help anybody in ways that I can. I'm not going to, I'll give you 25% of the help for
right. You're
free.
not going to do the work for somebody else. I
Right.
mean, that's the whole point of exercising your rights is, I mean, unfortunately, in my opinion, 98.5% of the populace is just, they're absolutely clueless on what power they have, right?
Right. Right. I agree. And it's okay. It's not okay, but it's okay that people have been asleep and complacent and comfortable and a little bit of lazy, in there for most of their lives, because I understand that's the system. That's what it's designed for. You're following what mommy and daddy did and grandma and grandpa did. You got your job. You got your little white picket fence. You got your 2.8 kids. You got the station wagon in the driveway, so to speak. The American dream, right? But
Right.
uh, I understand that. It's okay. It's okay. But at some point, especially with what's going on right now, I haven't heard. Let me just say this. I am chewing up a lot of oxygen here, but
Yeah,
let me
no,
just.
don't worry, man. I figured this is going to turn into a good session. This is kind of like the conversations we have offline, not as
Right,
deep or whatever, but I
right.
mean, it took you kicking me in the butt today. Go, hey, go live, and I was like, no, you kicked me in the butt a couple more times. I'm like, do it. So
Yeah.
let's use the time, man.
Well, we know each other's character, and we're both ex-military, and we know if we kick each other in the ass enough, we'll
All right.
collaborate on something, right? So it's for the benefit of all these folks, everybody listening, right? It's for the benefit. It's
Yes, sir.
how do we progress forward and enable ourselves, empower ourselves, but I will say that people have to be willing to do the work. Whether you're getting help from somebody, you're getting a little assistance here and there, whatever else. I am fully open and glad, more than glad to help somebody get empowered. Whether it's tactics, general approach, administrative law stuff, wording documents, stuff like that. I'm willing to help people, but I am not going to do the work for them. If somebody comes up to me, communicates with me, whatever, and says, "Look, I found this, James. What do you think?" Send it to me, email it to me, whatever. I'll say, "Hey, okay, did you look here?" And that'll be the end of it. Because if a person learns through the process of becoming more empowered, more powerful in their own status and standing, if they become that and they learn from it, how many people could they potentially help? See, and that's what
Sure.
empowering community, connecting, building networks and stuff, stuff we've been saying forever. That's where it comes from. If we can become this formidable force, and we're just, simply talking about right now, we're talking about, all this crap that's going on and the mandatory VA XX stuff and all that crap. But it's very relieving mentally, psychologically, even physically, that when you realize, as I said before, when you know and you realize how powerful you really are and how capable you potentially are if you will do the work. And until you put these entities, whether it's your company you work for, your corporation, your state government, your public health officer, whatever it is, until you put them in check, and I'll say one other thing regarding this, but until you put them in check and make them realize that you're not the average bear anymore, that you will stand and deliver for your rights and protections, until you get to that point, you're just a sheeple walking around in pasture.
You're under control, right?
You're under control, complete control, and they will steamroll you with what they say. In other words, I'll give you folks just one more example. Okay, when the state of California came out with the initial mandate, March of last year, I think it was 2 days after the WHO said that we have a world situation,
Right.
and California, I think it was 2 or 3 days after that, they said, "Bam, bam, all you silly, stupid Californians, you're going to do what we say." So, of course, the executive order comes out from Governor. Yeah, screw it, Mom can handle this one. Governor Ballsack of California comes out and he makes his executive order proclamation, as so many other governors did. I'm the kind of guy that says, "Whoa, whoa, whoa, wait a minute, no one over here now. Got to ask questions." Okay, so I went and I pulled up the executive order mandate. Okay, and all it said in that executive order mandate from Governor Ballsack was that Californians should heed to the recommendations of the California Department of Public Health. It didn't say by order of the state legislature of California, this is
Right.
what we do. It didn't say by a vote of this and that, this is the law in California. All it said was Californians should heed the recommendation. Those are the exact words, should heed the words of the California Department of Public Health. So what all these states did, and I know I've said this to you many times, what all these states did was they used their Department of Public Health, whatever it's called in your state, to administer these mandates. There are no lawful statutes, codes, anything like that on the books to force anyone to do anything. But because the mainstream media, the propagandists, the whatever you want to call them, rode that horse into town at 86.5 miles an hour, everybody went, "Oh my God, run, Forrest, run. We got to do what they're telling us." Right?
Be afraid. Be very
Be
afraid.
afraid. Be very afraid.
Right.
And so people ate it up. And they did it in such a fast fashion that most people didn't have time to catch their breath. And that was the magic. That was the magic. Okay? The magic was tell them what to do, make them think. One of the classic phrases in government is tell them that you got something better than what they have now and they need it. Okay? If you haven't heard that before, you've heard it now. Okay? The old Ronald Reagan line, right? The worst words in the American language are "I'm from the government, I'm here to help you."
Right. Right.
So, it's I do believe, to retract a little bit here, digress a little bit, I do believe that my affidavit being submitted at the local level and the corporate level had an effect on California.
Yeah.
As far as my company,
probably shook your corporation up. That's for sure.
yeah. Well, I think one of the legal counsels sitting in a cubicle over
crap.
there.
We got to get our lawyer involved here. Oh
Yeah.
shit.
Hey, Houston, we got a problem. Got a problem here. Look, he's got all these codes and laws that he says we're violating. That's why I put him in the affidavit, jerk off. so you
the
could go look at them, you know?
right. I'm sure the supervisors and or whoever read it is like, holy crap! I don't even know what the hell that is. I can't even type into Google what it is. So I got to go up the
Yeah.
chain and spend money and you know get a get a lawyer or the legal department involved. I mean, it's
And
just
see,
freaking
I'm that kind of guy. I'm not bragging or boasting here, just
no,
from
I know you're
decades
not.
of experience, okay? I'm that kind of guy who will file in my county superior court, and I'm sure they will have a quick judgment against James, and I'll appeal it, and I'll go to the state Supreme Court of California, and I'm sure that they'll, I'm sorry, I have to go to, yeah, state to Supreme Court. Then I'll go to the federal district. I'll just keep appealing it because that's my constitutional protection, my provision in law that I can do that. If I don't like what they say, I can appeal it to the next level. I'm that kind of guy who will do that. And at the end of it, assuming I have full success, I figure I'll probably be a multimillionaire. Um, I'll probably have the next 20 years of free healthcare. I'll probably own 10,000 shares of my company's stock. Um, and probably the next, until full retirement age, full 100% unemployment benefits.
Well, I mean, I'm telling you, man, I'm looking forward to the journey or the story of the journey here because I mean, you've already accomplished the first couple things, um, and really shook. I'm not going to say shake your foundations like ACDC would say, but you're shaking some foundations, brother.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's, again, this all comes back to one thing, and I've said it a couple times. And I'm sure, we talk a lot, and I'm sure you're tired of hearing it, but if you're willing to do the work and use the tools that you could put in your own toolbox, then you're much more formidable and capable of getting the results, the freedom, the protections, the prosperity that you desire. But that's, to me, and you've heard me say this hundreds of times, that's one of the biggest problems in America, is that people are not willing to do the work, to get
Yep.
out there. And so my journey continues. I'm now, to add to the rest of the timeline on my story, I'm now, and in my affidavit, I communicated that I would be open to any non invasive testing protocol. In other words, they can't stick anything in my arm, they can't jab me, they can't do any of that. Anything non invasive um, for testing is okay, because that, to me, you got to play the game a little bit. Okay, you say, okay,
Sure.
you're not gonna jab me, but if testing puts you at ease and preserves my job for a little while longer, and it's non-invasive, that's fine. Okay.
Right. And I mean, my thing is no. I mean, we've talked about this offline. I don't want you to get into it, but how many people that go get tested actually ask for a MSDS sheet or the ingredients on the let's just call it the Swabaruski that they shove up your nose?
Well, yeah, and if people, yeah, and right along the same lines, okay, I had to order, and this is a very common test that's being used in many companies, corporations, whatever. It's called a pixel test, okay, Pixel, and it's one of the newest and latest, greatest testing protocols that are being delivered. And 2 3 weeks ago, Joey Amtrak mentioned this, that they were going to be going full bore on home test kits. Isn't that just
Yeah.
funny? About 2 weeks ago that he said that,
Oh,
and
and you
boom.
can get it off of Amazon next day shipping. Yeah, no,
Oh
no
yeah,
problem.
yeah,
Do it.
yeah. But
Yeah.
see, if a company or an employer, a corporation, your employer, whatever, mandates this to you, under the law, they're required to incur all costs regarding that and pay you for time either on the clock or off the clock to go get this done. That's in the law. Okay. Every state is bound by that. If an employer slash company slash corporation requires you, in other words, mandates you to do it, they incur all costs. So I have my first little Pixel home test kit. My first Pixel home test kit. Oh my God. Coming to my house shortly here. Um, so, and I'll be required to do this every week. Now, at some point, it may just be when I get to, the 24th one, I may just say, this is kind of bullshit. I'm going to incorporate that into another affidavit as an extension of my religious exemption. They're not going to like it, but oh well.
Right.
Um, but I did agree to any non invasive testing, which for the time being keeps the dust settled a little bit and it keeps them, quote, happy, unquote. And it keeps me, I say, temporarily employed because
Right.
I feel that it's a temporary thing.
Yeah, I
Um,
mean, we don't
and
know what the OSHA rules are going to be when they come out, which I mean, to me, they're totally going to be unconstitutional, in my opinion. But yeah, I mean, I understand you got to play the game a little bit, but I agree with the non-invasive crap because I mean, we talk offline. I'm not getting anything shoved up my damn nose. That's for sure.
right.
Yeah.
Well, there's another fact that I'm sure a lot of people in our community and like minds know already, but the Charlie Delta Charlie does not make laws.
Nope.
The Oscar Sierra Hotel Alpha does not make laws.
Nope.
Okay. The Foxtrot Delta Alpha does not make laws. Okay. They have no power to do that. But who's been running the agenda? Okay. Who's been running the agenda? Who's been running the protocols? Right. Who has won in very, very large financial numbers through all of this? Has Bill won? Has James won? Hell frickin' no. Okay. We ain't won shit. I've never gotten a stimulus check, nor do I want a stimulus check.
No,
Okay?
me either.
And um, it's very, it's been a huge whirlwind, hasn't it? It's just been one thing, and we always say this when we talk. It's just what's coming tomorrow, what's next, what's new this week, what happened last week. It's just this constant whirlwind of keeping people dizzy, running around in circles, wanting to be told what to do. And as
Yep.
long as people keep doing that, it perpetuates the income tax. Don't get me started on that. I better not even. I
Oh
better.
man, yeah, I was gonna say let's not get into that because I saw Yellen
But these
testified
things,
today.
these things that are placed upon us in society, in government, these things that are placed upon us perpetuate because we allow it and we
Right,
perpetuate it. So
right.
um, that's my story on my battle right now. I hope
Yeah,
I
I mean,
gave you.
I'm really looking forward to the journey there and the updates. Which you put I think it was on Rumble. You um put one up there on Rumble. You want to plug your Rumble channel?
Yeah, it's the same name, but it's all one word. It's Forged Equity Project on Rumble, and
Right,
you know
right.
why I'm there. Same reason you went there.
Yeah, I
You know,
mean,
um,
I mean, shit. I got a community guideline strike, for a week because I posted something that was actually on the frickin' FDA's frickin'
yeah, yeah,
YouTube channel. I
right.
just spliced it out, and they're like, "Oh, and of course, there's no way to fight it." And I'm like, sorry, mom, I'm not gonna say the F word, but yeah, they can suck it. So,
Yeah, what's the operative phrase? Medical misinformation, right?
right,
That's the tagline for them.
right, right, right.
And if it's and it sucks, but it's their platform. I don't pay for it. I don't, and that's
Yeah, no, I agree. I agree.
one of the reasons that a contract in commerce is a contract in commerce. There are terms of
Mhm.
that contract and bound. So when I say that, I mean Rumble charges you $25 a month and gives you a bunch of data, unlimited bandwidth, and all this other crap, unlimited live streaming and all this. But it's much different than YouTube because YouTube is essentially free, right? But once you start, and I've heard so many people, once they get to 50,000 subscribers or they get to 100,000 subscribers, YouTube starts really affecting their channel. Okay, really starts changing things around their channel, and in a lot of cases, people that grow and have these huge audiences and huge numbers of subscribers don't even realize what YouTube slash Googie people are doing in the background to their channel. There's a guy I watch on YouTube called Think Media. He's been around for 10, 12, 13 years. And his channel is about YouTube, how to be a success on YouTube, how to do this on YouTube, how to do that. Very good polished guy, very good guy. It's called Think Media, and he was actually did a video either this morning or yesterday. I saw it and was talking about what happens in the background and a lot of stuff that YouTube does. Um, and to subscribers and how they only feed you, like if you have a popular video or popular topic, they will only feed it to a portion of your subscribers to see what kind of
Mhm.
data they can feed into the algorithm. And all these things are happening in the background. So, long story short, YouTube is a very controlled, manipulative platform. But the fact that it's free and it enables us to have a voice of some kind or whatever, and do these things like we're doing right now. Okay, great. Okay, whatever. Um,
Right. I
but
mean, like we've said for a year and a half, you got to use the tools you got, right? And
Mhm.
trying to build something on Rumble is like, I mean, I know other YouTube creators here in the Northwest that tried Rumble and they had, 80,000 subscribers. You know who I'm talking about. One of them, he actually got over 100,000, I think, last week. He's up
Mhm.
in the neck of the woods, but he gave up on Rumble because he couldn't pull all his subscribers over from YouTube to Rumble. So he
Right.
went with Rockfin, which is you got to pay. Which I agree. These guys that are out there on the ground every freaking week, 2 or 3 times a week, putting out live content where they're in a protest or they're in a flag wave or you know they're out there on the ground. I agree they should get paid, but it's just rough these days to pay 9.99 a month for a lot of people to go, watch some other platform.
Well,
And
yeah, along that line, I've heard, just I'll say just in the last 3 to 4 months, a lot of people are getting a lot of success on Patreon, right?
right,
Now, the reason I think that's happening is because they're getting tired of you know manipulative platforms, oppressive platforms, censoring platforms, and people that are going to Patreon are going because they want to be there. Because in order to be on somebody's Patreon community, you might pay $1 a month or something like that.
sure, yeah,
But but see, that's kind of cool because people will be there because they're choosing that they want to be there. They want to be part of that community. And that's just, to me, that's a vehicle. That's a way to actually build true committed people.
right. Vet
But
vet out people, right,
yeah, vet out people and get people that actually want to be part of your community. And I've noticed just in the last few months that a lot of people are having good success on that. Um, and to me, that's sort of in line with what you and I and I'll just speak for myself that I've been trying to build for a long time is to actually build a community like that actually wants to be part of it and can actually build a network and start building subchapters and different stuff in different states that are actually doing things. And
right.
um, you know, it's not with our technology that we have. It's not that hard to do,
Nope, nope,
especially
nope.
with the connectivity that we have available to us in different ways. But
It's the willingness, right?
right,
It's I'm either gonna fight for my freedoms or I'm gonna complain about it all the time because I stopped watching a lot of live streams because all you hear for 3 hours is people complaining and talking about this and I mean, just worthless shit. It's like, great, you feel this way. What is that accomplishing for 3 hours? I mean, we've talked about this before, and I don't, I'm not going to mention certain channels, but I mean, it's just like, you know, are you kidding me? Here we go, same shit, different day.
well,
three
here-
hours where you could be doing something like going to your state's website, checking what Congress is doing. You're afraid for your job, going and doing what you did. Creating an affidavit, learning how to do that. No, they want to just sit there and bullshit on a live stream all night. I mean, it just
well, here
personally to me, it frustrates me to all get out.
I'll give you another example.
Don't
Okay,
complain if you're not going to take action. I mean, Jesus. Sorry.
right. No, 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 right. Well, I'll give you. I won't mention the channel name, okay? But I mentioned this to you just the other day, okay, offline. This gentleman, I won't even say the state, but this gentleman is a newer guy. He started his channel back in March. Is a guy that lost everything. Okay, he lost his, due to the Cerveza bug crap, right? He lost everything, lost his business, all this stuff. Okay. Now the other day, I went onto his live feed, and it seems to be that he's got a great community there. A lot of knowledgeable people and a lot of good people, and people come up on his panel. He swaps them in and out. You can call in and go up on the panel and this and that. Very similar to StreamYard, whatever. I think it's called Restream you're using or something like that. But anyway, uh, the other day I went in and I asked him. I called in. I called into his program and I called in and I said, "Well, what are you? I'm just trying to get a feel about what you're doing here because I just discovered you a few weeks ago and blah blah blah." And I said, "What are you actually trying to build here?" And his response was that, "Well, I'm here 7 days a week and I'm doing live feeds and I'm talking to people and this." And I wanted to stop him and say, "Okay, but what are you building?"
Right.
Okay. Now, I went to his live feed today. He had 2,800 people on his live feed.
Jeez.
I think he probably collected over $500 in super chats,
Mm-hmm.
and he's not building anything.
Right.
There's nothing constructive coming
It's
out of
amazing, man.
him or anyone on any of his guests, any of his people that called in. Nobody is making suggestions about how do we build this out? How do we?
Right. How do you take action? Right. No, it's just. I mean, my experience is complaining or my cat this. Okay, I'm gonna complain some more. Then I got this problem. It's like, okay, how
Right,
is that helping anybody? I mean, really.
right, and you know to 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 see the amount of people that are just not only throwing money. Okay, all right, it's a super chat. Okay, they're throwing money at this gentleman, and he's got a nice little platform. He's got a nice little thing going there. But I took the opportunity to go in the chat, and I threw things in the chat such as Title VII U.S. Civil Rights Code.
Right.
I threw health and safety codes in,
Crickets.
and I made that exact comment. I said, "Okay, folks, crickets. That's what I expected."
Right.
I wished them all well in the chat, everybody in the community, and I said, "I'm out."
Right.
So it's the entertainment value, right?
Yeah.
Okay, I want to be
I
part
mean,
of a community. Okay,
that's.
great. But
I agree. YouTube, you can reach a lot more people, but in my opinion, the opinion of the host, and I don't care if you get pissed off at me, but that's how most people are. Is they want to be entertained, and they want to complain, but they don't want to step up to the plate and do action or network or I mean, do
right,
anything. I mean, what we've been involved with um, one
right.
person, and that we did a lot of work on that shit, and then I got
Yeah.
involved with some
You
other
did a lot
people.
of work on it. I did
You're right,
some, but you did a lot of work on it. Yeah.
and I got involved with somebody else. Let's just say a group, and as soon as I mentioned a couple things, it was like, okay, this isn't working, and it's like, okay. I mean, it was like I saw right away. It was like, okay, you don't want to do the work, so I'm not wasting my time being involved with four other people, and I think you know who I'm. You
Right.
know,
Right. Right.
I mean, you were involved in that for a little bit, but it was just like, man, what a waste of time. I'm tired of people that are saying they're for liberty and freedom and this and that, and then they don't do shit.
Right.
They're gonna
Well,
complain all night on a chat or whatever. Great, if that's what you want to do, shut the hell up. Have
well,
fun when your
you
liberties
know,
are taken away.
right. Right. Excuse me for the short there, but and I won't say who you're involved with. That's not for me to say and all that stuff. But the one group you were involved with there is Oregonians, right?
Oh,
Um,
that's the other group. No, I was talking
right.
about the group before that that I was
Oh yeah.
involved.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then we had another fly by night one that lasted about 22 hours. Right.
Right, right,
And
right.
found out that they were basically just fluffy, full of crap. And but anyway, uh, you know, whatever group. Okay, if you're in a group, if you're in an initiative, right, or whatever you're, a group or an undertaking that you're in, right. these things, once you get members, once you get some action, once you get some tangible results, can really turn into much greater things. But then to have them fizzle out because one or two or three people disagree, or they're not
Or the
really
egos get
committed.
involved, right? No, I
Right.
agree.
It's disappointing, and you, for me, I always have the same similar one of the same similar reactions. Like, shit, man, that just vaporized, man. Shit, it could have been,
Yeah,
could have
exactly.
been
Yep.
a contender, could have been a contender, But um, it's very disappointing, and so when I flipped the script 6 months ago and I said, okay, well, why am I wasting my time? I'm sure you've done it many times. Why am I wasting my time? Where's the return on investment? It's
Right.
not an investment for us individually. It's an investment for many people, many folks of the same like mind and community. But if the bottom line is, if we're not going to stand and deliver, if we're not going to do the work, then quit your damn complaining and whining.
Mm-hmm.
Eat your cheese puffs, and
Yep.
that's where I come from. And when I flipped the script 6 months ago and said, "Hey, I'm kind of sort of done with that," um, I still have the internal drive to help people
Right.
to help
It's
them
the
forward.
up and down, up and down.
Hmm.
I mean, there's days I want to, geez, I was rolling on my last, channel before I got, struck down. I was like, 1,000 subscribers, man. I am thinking about maybe, branching out a little bit better on YouTube, and then, got completely obliterated for
Right,
showing Antifa shit. But, it's like, oh, that, kind of, you know, bummed me out for a while, and then it was like, nope, I'm gonna keep going, and it's like, I'm not putting out as much content as I used to, because it's like nowadays everybody's watching what they want to watch, and I don't think, I try to make things relevant, and I don't think people care about relevant shit that's going on in the government, or what's going on up here in the Pacific Northwest, news wise and stuff. They just don't give a shit, and they're gonna do is complain all the time. So it's like that return on investment, right? It got to the point for me where it's like there is no return on investment.
right,
Nobody's commenting, nobody's wanting to get involved, nobody's emailing me, whatever. And so I just was like, screw it. But then again, then the next day, it's like, no, I'm not giving up. It's
right,
that internal drive, kind of thing. So,
right. Well, we're committed to liberty and freedom, and that's, so many people are. Um, but you always hear me say it. What's tangible, what's good, what can I touch, what can I feel, what can I smell, and that's the bottom line. And me being in this battle at work, it's tangible. It's real tangible for me. And I'm going out. I'm in that batter's box every damn day. I go to work, um, and they just don't know. They just don't know what's really going to come at them if they really push James to the limit. They just really don't know what's going to come at them. And I can say that confidently because I've been in this mix for so long. But it's the willingness to stand with your convictions, to stand for liberty and freedom, and carry it forward. And I've said to you many times, either in feeds or offline, that you know I have taught. I have one son, I have one child, and I taught my son a lot of these principles and things over the years. And my son is self-employed. Um, and is carrying a pretty formidable business here in Southern California. And he's growing and he's doing well. But he understands that if he doesn't show up and do the work, if he doesn't perform, he doesn't see the results. And
right.
that's one of the base tenets of liberty and freedom.
Yep.
And if you show up, if you're committed, if you build, if you sustain, if you maintain, if you become that community, if you will, of the like-mindedness, for living, and you've heard me say this many times, living as a free will inhabitant upon the land. If that's your idea, of here's the bottom line: if that's your idea to be a free will inhabitant upon the land with all your rights and protections, then prove it. Prove it.
Right.
If
Well,
you
I
can't
mean,
prove it,
I think, I mean, you're, a little bit older than I am, but, our generation, we weren't taught to be victims, right? And nowadays, everybody's a victim, right? I can't do it. I'm oppressed. I'm this, I'm that, and, blah, blah, blah. It's like, stop being a victim, man. Stand up for your damn rights. But I don't think, the younger generations, um, even understand what it was like living through the Cold War or the 70s and 80s. I mean, geez, we're going back to inflation here, and Janet Yellen said today, after she predicted low inflation for this year, and today, what the Fed says or the Treasury Secretary says, you can take it with a grain of salt. But she said, "Oh yeah, we're going to probably see 4% inflation by the end of the year." It's like, oh yeah. Great. We're already seeing way more inflation than 4% right now, you dumbass. You know?
well, yeah, the real unemployment rate is about 26-27%. But
I'd probably
but
agree with that.
but the
Yeah.
government will tell you it's only 5.4.
Right. They play with numbers and pick and choose. Yep. As
And people believe it. Why? Because they look to government for solutions,
right. Yep.
and um, they're not in that individual equity and prosperity, um, part of the game, and they probably most people haven't really been in that most of their lives. So therefore, uh, we get a society that is in large part, excuse me, in large part passive and um, not even, some people say, oh, I'm passive aggressive. No, not even aggressive towards their own prosperity. And this is what we have. Um, we are literally the sleeping giant, in my opinion. We are the heavy, deep sleeping giant that was just usurped and taken over because the opportunity presented itself for those folks that like to do that stuff.
Right. But
Um,
what I don't understand is I know you keep track of it, maybe other people do too. But look at some of the shit that's going on in Canada. I mean, it's good, a little bit of it. You got people in France standing up, and you got people in Australia. If people don't know what's going on in Australia, go watch Sky News in Australia. It's absolute tyranny down there, and people are actually out in the streets in thousands and thousands. And it's like, why doesn't that happen here in America? Aren't we supposed to lead the way? Aren't we the great light on the hill? I mean, it's amazing, man, that we can't get 10 people to organize some kind of thing and then build that out to 10, 100, 1,000, 10,000, 100,000. I mean, I just don't. It blows me away. The rest of the world is standing up in America, and we're supposed to lead the way, and we're not doing shit, in my opinion.
I agree. I don't. I have to agree with you. It's just the way it is, man. It's but thanks for letting me share the story.
Yeah, no worries.
It's you know, again, bottom line is either you're going to stand and deliver or you're not, um, and well, I hope Mom enjoys this. It's going to be a long one for her to watch, I guess. Right?
Well, Maz, I've been trying to explain your story, so maybe this will help her out a little bit.
Yeah.
And telling her, what you're doing there, and she's pretty impressed. So, you know, and I'm gonna probably wrap this up anyway. We're almost an hour and 30 minutes in here, and appreciate the story. Look forward to the story of the journey, and maybe next time I'll open it up to. I don't know if I'm gonna go back to doing live streams with the open panel because usually that get sidetracked and you know
Well, again, if if you want to do that, if you want to have some more streams and stuff, there's nothing but everything to gain if we continue, if we're helping people, if we're
right.
if we're putting the bug in the ear, if we're maybe even enabling or empowering some people, then that's great. So we'll contribute what we can when we want to do it, right? And I'm going to keep doing stuff on my Rumble, and you know, uh, YouTube is really kind of pisses me off, and the fact that I'm going to have to upload something to YouTube, but I do it because of that internal drive. And if we're helping people, giving them some information, maybe giving them some tools, if you will, um, to move forward and protect what they feel is important with their convictions going forward, then we're doing good things, right? We're doing good things.
Right. All right, brother. Well, just want to say thanks for the people that showed up and anybody that watched the replay. Mom, we pretty much kept it cuss free tonight, so I don't have to worry about that. I don't think so. Thanks, buddy.
Yeah, man. Yeah, it's enjoyable. It's all we always have good feeds. I just wish more people would partake, and big part of this is communications and feedback. And
Right.
we'd love to see 200 comments on this feed, just for the interaction and the participation. And again, my email is forgedequity at gmail, and or yeah, forgedequity at gmail. Anybody wants to email me, whatever. But I'd be glad to. Again, it is time consuming. It is tedious to do these kind of things. Not only the streams, but the administrative stuff that I'm doing.
Right.
Uh, it's very time consuming, and again, it has to be on point. You can't, there can't be any, there's just virtually no room for error. You can make a little mistake here and there, but you have to, you have to deliver. And that's the objective, is to help people retain. One of my favorite lines is secure, preserve, and protect what you feel is necessary for you and yours. But you can't do that just sitting around talking about it. You got to be a person of action. So if we're helping people, and we help one person, what's the cliche? If we help one person, then we're doing something good. So thanks for allowing me to be
Yeah,
up
no
here.
problem, bud. Good, good talk as always, and you know, our private conversations would probably not go too well on a live stream. So thanks, buddy.
No, probably not. Probably not. Because it's full and chain campfire with me on those conversations. But
That's right. That's right. That's right. All right, man. You have a good night, and I'll talk to you
all
offline,
right.
buddy.
Thanks everybody for being here, and
Yep,
hope you enjoy the stream, and hopefully it helps somebody, brings value to them.
absolutely. All right,
Thanks,
buddy.
brother.
Have a good night.
Good night. We'll see you later.